Welcome to the broadcast, my dear pulse breakers. If you're hearing this, you're not asleep. You're one of the rare few whose senses didn't rot with the rest. Because right now, they've placed $1 million hit on you. Not because you stole, not because you ran, but because you stood still and spoke. Because you peeled back the skin of the untouchable and showed the world the raw, trembling veins underneath. You weren't supposed to survive the encounter, but worse. You walked away knowing too much. And now, every corridor echoes your name. Like a ticking clock in a locked room. You didn't expose a criminal. You detonated a belief system. You didn't threaten a person. You compromised the entire architecture of fear. Their world runs on obedience, codes, silence, submission. You broke none of their laws, but fractured all their expectations. That's what makes you lethal. You're not a weapon. You're a reversal. They can't categorize you, and that's what turns predators into prey. When you pulled the curtain and revealed who really moves the levers, you didn't just expose the puppeteer, you rewired the stage. And now, the man they swore could never be touched is unraveling in real time. His myth was bulletproof, until you walked in, unarmed and unforgettable. Let them send the hunters, let the mercs oil their triggers. Because you're not in the crosshairs. You are the malfunction in the rifle, the hiccup in the heartbeat, the thought that lingers in the back of their skull, even when everything goes quiet. They've never faced someone who doesn't want to win, someone who wants it to burn in public, because that's what separates you from them. You don't fight for survival, you fight to corrupt their confidence. The man they protected, he's not a man, he's a myth worn like armor, a persona sculpted in boardrooms, fed to the masses, worshipped in silence, and when you spoke his name without fear, the static began. Not just in the media, not just in the underworld, in their nerves. You didn't expose him, you destabilized everything that depended on his silence. And now, they need you gone. Not to bury you, but to scrub the memory of your defiance. Because the longer you breathe, the harder it is for their spell to hold. This isn't about violence. This is about equilibrium disruption. You're a variable they can't solve, a presence that doesn't compute. And so they do what all fragile empires do when threatened. They panic in style, fancy threats, shiny digits, $1 million like a medal for whoever can make the anomaly disappear. But here's the inside joke. They think money motivates killers. What they forgot is that truth seduces better than gold. And you've already seduced the room. Eyes are turning. Allegiances are rotting. You don't have to fire a single shot to collapse their pyramid. You just have to keep breathing. You weren't supposed to notice. That's the first rule. Don't notice the rotations behind the smile. Don't notice the way headlines are choreographed like dance routines. Don't notice the fingerprints under the contracts. But you didn't just notice. You documented, you decoded, and then you broadcasted. You carved clarity out of a fog they swore would last forever. And now, the very structure that sustained them is recalculating. Not because of revolution, because of infection, because truth is infectious. And you're a walking contagion. They say you should never look too long at a legend. You looked, you diagnosed, and you found the disease. Rotting, beating, concealed under layers of charm and legacy. You dragged it into the light. You didn't just threaten exposure. You performed an autopsy. In public, on the highest name in the hidden chain of command. And the worst part for them? You smiled after, not because it was over, but because it was only the opening statement. Now they've gone full theater. Panic veiled as precision. Whispers disguised as strategy. Hit contracts like it's some cinematic climax. But it's not. It's a malfunction. A glitch in their plan, not yours. This isn't a chase. This is a demonstration. Every bounty hunter they send is a case study. Every assassin is a page in your curriculum. And each one that fails becomes another confirmation that you aren't the one being hunted. You are the terrain itself. Do you feel it? The tension in the air? That's not fear. That's instinct waking up. That's the world remembering that before control came chaos. And you are that chaos, calibrated. You didn't walk into the lion's den. You walked into the illusion and started naming the actors. And now the lions are debating if they should growl or beg. And here's what terrifies them most. They don't know what you want, because people like them. They only understand enemies with a price, rebels with demands. But you're too still, too surgical. You want nothing from them, not leverage, not deals. You don't want to dethrone them. You want the audience to see them naked. You want the crowd to recognize that the king is just a man with trembling hands and backup plans. And once they see that, game over. Power doesn't die from bullets. Power dies from clarity. You are that clarity. Not an explosion, but an unraveling, slow, specific, unstoppable. They thought they could suffocate you with threats. Instead, you became oxygen to everyone else suffocating in silence. You are a breathing permission slip for resistance. And that's why they want you gone. They tried to own the narrative. You hijacked it. They tried to isolate you. You multiplied. They tried to predict your next move. But they forgot. You are not moving on their board. You're the fire underneath it. So let them escalate. Let them act brave. They've never understood. This isn't about whether you'll make it out. This is about what you're turning into.